All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Neo4j Live. Today, I have the pleasure of having two guests instead of the oftentimes only one guest, so two is better than one, I guess. And we talk about smarter collaboration with AI and knowledge graph. And my guests are Paolo Nardi and Maximilian Pangerl. Hi, Paolo and Maximilian. Hi, welcome.
Hey, Alex, and hey, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today on this one of the last days of August. I guess summer is coming to an end for those of you who have the warmer season here in this northern hemisphere, I guess. So we'll well, it's not so hot here. So I just wanted to say we're gonna sweat a little bit, but I'm not really. I mean, at least where I am, I don't know, Paolo, where are you? Are you hot?
Well, I'm in Malmo, Sweden, and we have been actually fortunate enough to have a really nice week. It's
Oh, good.
actually sunny outside, which you don't actually usually
Oh,
get that much,
yeah, that's very nice. Yeah.
but still just 18 degrees. So I think unfortunately we are starting to say goodbye to the summer slowly.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. How are you, Max? Everything good on your end?
Well, yeah, similar here. I'm in south of Germany, south of Munich even. And I think you, Alex, are also in Munich.
Yeah.
So we're the past days have been really nice, but now it's cloudy, a bit stormy, a bit windy.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer is unfortunately coming to an end.
Yeah, that's
But
what it,
yeah,
yeah.
it's been good so far. So
Cool.
more time
No,
to
and
build now.
exactly, yeah, and that's great. It's great to have you, and I think that's probably a good segue into time to start building, time to start collaborating again with people, and we talk about this exact topic. But before we dive into the topic, it would be nice if you could give a quick overview or like a little history of who you are, what you do, and how you how knowledge graphs AI and smart collaboration, how does that fit together, and how did it become a topic you are talking about now? Paolo, you're
Um,
nodding, so I'll volunteer you for going first.
no, I mean, where to begin? I think all of this has been a combination of both studies, personal interest, and some of the things that I think we see are kind of needed in the world. I have a bachelor's in computer science and engineering, and I think already back in 2017 when AI became sort of smarter than humans at being able to
Mm,
recognize objects. That was when I first had my first aha moment of, oh, wait a minute, this technology is going to be revolutionary. And I think back then I'm always a very systemic thinker, and I tried to look around and talk to my engineering friends and be like, how do you think this is going to affect society? Like, how are you going to actually use this technology? I didn't see much of that, so I went to study computer science. Sorry, I went to study a master's in leadership for sustainability,
mhm.
same master's that also Max did, and I was exploring back then AI for sustainability, and this notion of an organization as a living entity. Like what is actually required to run an organization, right?
Okay.
There's information, there's coordination, and usually we have organizational charts and all these things, but
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
really tell us what's actually happening, right? So we have a map of an organization that is not representative of the territory.
Mm,
So how
yeah.
could these two things combine together for us to understand a little bit more deeply what actually is going on?
Yeah.
So that just started a big quest, and ever since then, I've just been trying to unpack this, seeing some of the issues in organizations, and trying to understand how to make this technology applicable.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really how it came to be for me at least. And in this journey, I met Max, and well, Max, you can introduce yourself much better than I will ever be able to. So
Thank you. Yeah, then I will just take on the baton. My background is pretty much in renewable energies from bachelor wise, and then building low-tech waste management facilities, going in different companies, always being like on the operational side of things. But then also I developed a huge passion in people, like just connecting with people, and like my core like passion is to build amazing projects with amazing human beings. So my entrepreneurial journey started like 8 years ago with, like just like trying to make the world a little bit of a better place. Um, and then going into the Masters of Leadership for Sustainability in Sweden, where I also met Paolo, because I was also very interested in how can organizations themselves be sustainable, and now going further, like how they can be regenerative, actually. And throughout like building entrepreneurial projects, and I personally love going to trade fairs and connecting with people. Um, but it's always the same things that I see. Like I always go there, I always have conversations. It's like, okay, yes, this is amazing. Let's connect, let's do something together. You get a business card and it's like, okay, making like scribbles on the business card. Or like I worked for companies where they had like just writing down like everything on sheet of papers, and I was like, guys, like this should not be the case.
Yeah.
So the way how I see knowledge graphs and what I'm so passionate about is like I can just literally right now record a voice note about what have we spoke about, what is the name of the person, what is the email address, when do we want to meet, and then it creates a whole relation in the knowledge graph, CRM entry, books a meeting, writes an email, everything, boom, done. And I'm like, nice, okay. So it's a complete new way of interacting, and my background is more like on the business side, on the networking side of things. So for me, like it just makes sense to organize a network and people in a knowledge graph way instead of like a tabular way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
so
no sense.
that's the way how and then we figured out we just want to spend more time being in relationship with people and like building projects we're passionate about, and not waste time on admin processes, admin stuff. So that's how Paolo and I put our brains together from like the business networking side of things and the tech side of things, and we're like, okay, like what do we see? How do we build this? And then started working on Sumbios together, since it's such a core passion of ours to really automate what can be automated so we can spend more time in actual real connection.
Okay.
So yeah.
No, that's cool. That should be interesting. Before we dive into that, and I don't want to derail the conversation too much from the topic, I just wanted to say, if you're watching this live right now and you have questions, comments, feedback, do engage. The chat is always open. I'm happy to have your questions, read out the questions to Paolo and Max as we go along. So have that. And I know, Paolo, you have a couple of slides, so I'll switch over to that in a moment. But when you said, teams are organized or companies are organized often in an organigram, and you get like this kind of table, and then you see, okay, this is the manager of this person, and you see this and this. It's already kind of a graph structure, so it does make sense. But then on the other side, it is all very static. And I remember this one story from a company who put everything they had, all the people and all the relationships, departments, but also work-wise, where they worked in teams together, into a graph. And then they realized there's one person that is connected more than the CEO to everybody else. And they were like, who is this person? Because they're like, this cannot happen. Why is somebody so densely connected to everybody else? And they didn't quite know how this could happen. And then they realized this is the one guy that goes to everybody, set up their machine, their computer machine. So they have this IT person. They travel around globally, even for that, and they set up the offices, set up everything. So everybody is connected to this one person, which is some IT department personnel. And it's like, okay, why is everybody connected here? This is a bit weird. And then realizing, oh yeah, he's just setting up everything for us. Okay, yeah, we know. So that's really funny when you see this as a graph. It's like, okay, this is super densely connected node there, but it's not the CEO, it's not the head of something, HR or finance. It's just the IT guy.
Yeah.
So
It almost reminds me here in like in the public, like the hairdressers.
yeah,
How many connections do they have?
yeah, true.
It's true. That would be an interesting knowledge graph to map out.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. No, I'm that's it's a good story. So yeah, let's dive in. I see your slides deck here. Let's get that over here. No, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. Here we go.
Perfect. Yeah, and thank you so much for having us, Alexander. And I mean, to be honest, that this conversation will, of course, touch upon organizations, but we want to get to a bigger core problem around just how do we connect in today's modern age world, right? Because this problem that we see around connectivity is everywhere, from the individual to the organization to society, right? So during this presentation and the demos that we want to showcase you, it's a little bit of a glimpse into a future that we believe technology can really help us create, that we want to be a part of, right? A future where suddenly connections can become accessible and that people really understand why, who they should talk to, right? So to rephrase that, I'm going to start with something that at Sumbios we believe is crucial. The first thing is that, well, at the heart of life lies one thing, right? Connection. Cells connect to form organisms, organisms to connect to form ecosystems, and humans connect to form civilization. And every single technology breakthrough in our history is one technology that helps us increase our connection and our communication. If you think about it, the steam engine, the cars, and the planes, they shorten the distance of movement. The telegraph, the telephone, and the internet shorten the distance of communication. And search engines, digital platforms, and now artificial intelligence is making information more accessible than ever before. These technologies are crucial because they essentially help us communicate and coordinate. Right? So the story of technology is really the story of how far and how fast we can connect and coordinate with each other. But the thing is, there's always something deeper, right? When you look a little bit deeper, you realize that these technologies don't just connect people, they also form the infrastructure needed for us to coordinate. And essentially, they build what they call information networks. Right? Information networks are essentially the nervous systems of civilization. And you have all these informations everywhere, right? In an organization, you have it in a team, you have it within yourself. You have your own little knowledge graph, if you're to say it like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, in his book, Nexus, Yuval Noah Harari puts it that says that information networks are really the stories, the myths, the laws, the algorithms that allow us to synchronize, cooperate, and build at scale.
It's a great book, by the way.
It's an amazing book. I recommend anyone reading it.
Definitely.
Right, but
definitely.
it really is a powerful book, because this is how we make sense of the world, and it's what makes us different from any other species in the world. Right? At the best, these networks give us truth. So that's a shared meaning of the world. They give us order, right? So the ability to align and coordinate. They give us power, so the capacity to act together at scale. And hopefully they should lead to wisdom, right? The understanding of how to take the right actions, because we can really look back into our history and see what happened, why did it occur, who were the actors, what were the relationships, right? Strong and aligned information networks create resilient civilizations. But when they fracture, societies fracture with them. And this is a really big problem, because despite living in the most connected the most connected era in human history, our information networks are really starting to break down right now. And the problem isn't that we have too little information or too much information. It's just simply we haven't learned how to use it wisely. Right? And now I really want to present the way that these problems are, or how we have seen it They represent and show themselves in both organizations and our society. The first problem that we see a lot is what we call the connectivity blind spots. We don't see what we know. So the same technologies that were meant to connect us have left us have left us with a lot of blind spots. Social networks have created echo chambers, reinforcing what we already believe instead of expanding our horizons. Our knowledge is usually scattered across a lot of tools, which means that we don't simply know what we know or why it matters in the bigger picture. Instead of seeing the full tapestry of our collective knowledge, we stumble through fragments. We are connected, but not coordinated. Just really the reason why this problem arises, right, is what we call the fragmentation or siloed data. Too much data, too little meaning. Data is streaming from all over the place nowadays. Social media, LinkedIn, email, calendar, Notion, Slack, Discord, ChatGPT, Claude. I can't even begin to
You
name
name it,
the
yeah.
amount, the
A huge,
amount
huge
of
amount of
tools.
files on your Google Drive or
Yeah.
OneDrive or whatever
Yes,
else, on top of all of it.
You,
Yeah.
you lose track
Yeah.
so easily.
yes. It's become too much, right? And the issue with this is that the core information that we need gets lost. What happened? Who is involved? Why does it matter? We become great at analyzing in pieces, but terrible at synthesizing the whole,
Hmm.
right? The result, trust erodes, truth fractures, and shared reality dissolves. So we may have more data than ever before, but we have less clarity than ever before. And this is a really big problem. And part of this problem as well is that we still have a lot of manual and repetitive admin. Our ways of working have simply not caught up with the complexity of our world. We spend too much energy into manual coordination, updating a CRM, passing
Mhm.
information between tools, keeping track of who said what, when, and where. We spend so much time maintaining the systems instead of creating value, which really holds us back from the very creativity and collaboration our work demands nowadays. So, the very systems designed to unite us are now starting to crumble under their own weight, right? But why is this? Right? We believe that there's a deeper sort of philosophical problem here. And the reason why is our information networks were really designed to give us truth, order, and power, but they are lacking the wisdom. And here's the thing: in today's world, the greatest wisdom is the understanding that we are interdependent, that our greatest power is not to dominate or take over the world, but to learn how to create and be a steward of it. And that we can't simply solve our problems in isolation. Yet our networks, our governments, our our whole society right now has been built and optimized for extraction and control, not for co-creation. And this is why our age of great connectivity also feels like an age of great confusion. And this is why we need a new way forward.
Hmm.
So for us, the question really becomes, what if we design platforms, networks, information, and ways of working, not just for power, but for connectivity and co creation? This is really the essence of what we call the symbiotic future, right? A time where we learn how to use this magnificent technology that we've created in a wise way, and where we start to coordinate and make sense of the world that we have in front of us in a completely different way. So this is really all about the shift from power to symbiosis,
Hmm.
a shift from fragmented extractive networks and mental models towards ones of co-creation and regeneration. And to enable this, we need new types of technologies and networks that are built on a fundamental new type of infrastructure. One that, as you mentioned, Alex, is dynamic, right? Because data, like people, we're not static. Things are
Hmm.
constantly changing, right? It also needs to be permissioned. When I ask someone who owns your LinkedIn network, they tell me LinkedIn. And I say, why? It's your data, it's your information.
Mhm.
This information network also needs to be contextual. Our systems need to understand not only who we are, but who we've talked to, and helps us really make sense of what's important right now so that we can always look back. Because we like to think in context, right?
Yeah.
It also needs to be transparent and intelligent so that we can trust it, and also so that it's not so manual, because I also don't want to have a new system that I constantly need to re-update, right? It's not that, right? So we're really talking about networks that are always evolving, giving people control over what they share and with who, making meaning visible, and building in such a way that trust can grow and that we can act with clarity and not noise. And this is how we can start to transform power into symbiosis. And now we're going to move a little bit more into the technical foundation of how we view this, and also some prototypes. Right? And it all starts with what we call the symbiotic intelligence engine. It's really a new infrastructure where we first begin with a data integration layer. Right? So most of our information today is trapped in silos, as we mentioned before: LinkedIn, Slack, CRM, etc. This is the layer that makes sure that all of these information gets structured into a semantic layer, that no matter where the information comes from, it's actually contextualized and reusable. This means that we no longer need to hunt data and information across tools. The system in itself connects the dots for us. And it all puts it into this dynamic, contextualized knowledge graph. But you see, we don't view knowledge graphs just as a technology. We really view it as the memory layer, right? A knowledge graph can really act as a collective memory. You have the relationships, the entities, you can trace back, you can look into the history. And that's really what transforms scattered fragments into contextual connected reality. And that's the beautiful thing about a knowledge graph, right? It can grow, it can expand. You can, if you have one particular schema, you can always build on top of it. You can normalize it. But the thing is, memory, of course, is not enough. We also need some sort of intelligence and a system to help us make sense of it. Well, we do have that system. It's called artificial intelligence, right? So this is where we view AI as an orchestration layer, right? It's we view AI as a companion. It listens to your questions, it translates them into structured queries, it synthesizes the right context, and it guides people so that they can present the information that they need at the right time. And crucially, it does this with transparent reasoning, showing us the thinking steps so that we can actually trust the process. Right? Any sort of call that you do with an AI, you can track back to it into the knowledge graph. Who asked what? What did the AI have as an intent? What was the results? All of these things become traceable.
Mm.
Right? But as we discussed before, once you start to put so much information into a system, we need to make sure that we give the power back to the user. This is also why a lot of the new regulations in the EU are focusing on this, right? Giving the control back to the user. And that's what we call the permissioned intelligence. You control your data, you decide what to share and in what context. This is really what allows networks to interconnect without losing privacy or autonomy. If I want to share my LinkedIn network to you, Max, because I trust you, I can do that. If for whatever reason we stop being friends, I should be able to take it back. Right? I hope it never happens. I just have to say that.
No, never.
But this is really where the
Yeah.
permission intelligence comes into place, right? It's a way of building transparent, trustworthy systems where collaboration doesn't require giving up control. And lastly, and most importantly, we need to have some sort of universal UX UI layer, right? We need to make information available no matter what tool you are in. It should integrate into your workflows, not force you into new ones. This is what would allow the turning of the knowledge graph into an invisible companion that meets you where you are. Whether you're in your inbox, on your LinkedIn, or a meeting, the system should be able to help you recall what truly matters and be connected for you. And we really believe that when you connect these 5 foundations, the seamless data integration, the knowledge graph as a memory, the AI as a companion and coordinator of this information, the permission layer, and the universal UX, you get a system that can move us beyond silos and fragmentation. A system where information is alive, contextual, and intentional, where people, organizations, and ecosystems, they don't just connect, but they get to co-create. This is really the foundation of the symbiotic future. Right? But now let's bring it a little bit down to earth. I'll show you just the first layer. And this is something that we built essentially in 30 hours, vibe coding the hell out of it at a hackathon in Mashup, which the code is a mess, but it's just to really showcase the future, right? So I hope you can see it, right? So imagine I come here, and this has in our knowledge graph about 3,000 people, and say I want to go and ask, hey, can you show me artificial intelligence experts in San Francisco? Right? Maybe I'm traveling to San Francisco. I want to look for some experts. The system starts to tell me what it's doing. It's starting to get the queries. It's starting to break it down. It's using deterministic and then semantic strategy, all in the back of Neo4j. And then it's able to present the results to me, right? So then I get all of the people that I need here, all the information, LinkedIn profiles, etc. And because it has that information, I could ask, some follow-up questions like help me draft an email, or, maybe I can write all of this, select it, and ask a question, follow up, etc. It really is making information much more accessible, right?
And this is analyzing your Pietro's LinkedIn network.
Mine's and Max, yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So, but if I want to ask a follow-up question,
the networks.
Exactly.
Because you share. Okay, I see. So you have your both. Sorry, Paolo, not Pietro. Paolo and and Max, you have your LinkedIn shared, and then you connect them, and then the AI can basically analyze and find, okay, these are the people you are directly connected to, and
yes,
could possibly meet when you go to, let's say, San Francisco.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and same thing, it retains context. If I want to ask for similar people in Malmö, Sweden, with the same sort of what's it called, profiles, it should be able to understand, okay, this person just looked for AI experts. The AI knows the following query. Now it's going to help me find people in Malmö with the same profiles, right? And the beautiful thing about the system is we can really go behind the scenes and understand what is happening, right? Because everything is a conversation. Everything is a node. So here, for example, we have the chat. You can see that I initiated it. We can see exactly what the AI did, how it started to get the context, who it found, right? So every single step is traceable, which makes it really important, right? Because one of the core things about AI as well is token usage. We need to learn how to reduce the token usage and retrain the models such that they can become experts at querying and understand the different schemas. So this is really where we see the future going, that there needs to be a lot of traceability for us to also understand how these systems work and map and then get the valuable contextual information that's going to be needed, right? And we really imagine a future where you can not only do this, but you can ask any questions, right? Like, hey, can you give me analytics, right? Like show me where the majority of people in my network studied. What are the top industries? What are the top skills in my network? Who is the most connected individual? How have our networks grown? All this information becomes accessible just one prompt away, which is vital, right? And this is really sort of a first step into the future. And what we've shown you is essentially the first prototype where we help people connect with people, but we're looking to expand this into connecting it with knowledge, with emails. That's exactly what we're doing, so that all the information becomes available for the user. But they can bring their tools, they can share it with who they want to, they can co-create things together, and they have full access and transparency of it. Right, so this is the premise, right? And this is where the real potential is, right? Expanding it into a living, dynamic knowledge network, one that integrates across platforms, preserves context, and orchestrates intelligence seamlessly across people. So the goal is really not to create another app you have to check. The goal is to actually make intelligence ambient, accessible anywhere, anytime, naturally integrated into your flow of work and life. So for us, what next is clear. We're evolving from connecting people to connecting systems of meaning, from a simple search tool to a permission dynamic network of networks. This is really the foundation of the symbiotic future. A future where every conversation and project isn't just a fleeting moment, but captured and woven into a network of knowledge. A future where you can instantly find not just a person, but the right person at the right moment with the right context. A future where organizations could connect their knowledge securely across boundaries so that industries and even governments could actually coordinate in times of crisis. This is really the future that we envision, right? Where the right signals reach the right people at the right time, freeing us to focus on actually creating and solving the problems that are very much needed right now. And lastly, this is really the future that we see, right? A future where technology doesn't actually need to divide us, but it can begin to unite us. One where we are in formation, co-creating intelligence, co-creating solutions, co-creating the next chapter of our civilization. And the thing is, we actually need this now more than ever.
Yes.
I mean, for centuries, our information networks were designed to concentrate power. Whoever controlled the stories, the records, the channels, controlled the world. And it worked. Empires were built, economies grew, innovation flourished. But today, this model is breaking down. When power is hoarded without wisdom and care, networks fracture. When information is fragmented, trust erodes. When our connections serve extraction instead of regeneration, we all lose. And here's the truth. We no longer have the luxury of delay. Climate crisis, political division, economic instability. These challenges are too complex and too interconnected to be solved with old ways of thinking. We really need a new paradigm, a paradigm where networks are not built on control, but on co-creation, where the greatest power is no longer domination, but regeneration, and where the greatest wisdom is not separation, but co-creation. And this is really the leap, right? That from power to symbiosis, and it needs to happen now. If we don't redesign our networks and technologies, the very fabric of our civilization actually risks tearing apart. But if we choose wisely, we truly believe that we can build a future where our systems are not just efficient, but alive, resilient, adaptive, and regenerative. The future is not waiting for us. It's being decided right now by us. We are in the greatest time in history, and we must learn how to act wisely. And that means going back to the connection, that we are actually one species. Whether we like it or not, this is what we got, guys. So, and I'm not the only one that has said that. There's many that have come before us that have given us so much that we should also honor, respect, and choose to propel their ideas forward. Albert Einstein famously said, we cannot solve our problems with the same line of thinking that we used when we created them. And he also said,
Yeah.
Why does this magnificent applied science, which saves work and makes lives easier, bring us so little happiness? The simple answer runs because we have not yet learned to make sensible use of it. Whether we choose to repeat this or evolve, the choice is really up to us. But at Sumbios, we are really trying our best to make sure that we always remember this, that at the heart of life lies one thing, and that is connection. We have seen what happens when our networks and technology divide us. Now it's time to build the systems that connect us wisely, transparently, and symbiotically. So, we invite you to join in what we call the symbiotic revolution, to bring your ideas, your energy, your networks, because connection is life. And together, we believe that we can make connections our greatest creation and our greatest strength. So, thank you so much, Alex, for helping us be here and present this. And thank you for Neo4j for also building such a powerful technology that can allow us to think, view the world differently, but also do things in brand new ways. I think now we're really given a chance to build applications on top of it that can help us fundamentally think differently. And we look very much forward to keeping developing with you guys and using the amazing infrastructure that you guys have built. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Paolo. Very cool presentation. Very nice, overview, I would say, and intro to Symbios as a way of hopefully full-fledged platform at some point to help you structure your day a little bit better and help become a little helper, I guess, for your daily life as as an employee, but also as a human being. So I like that a lot. I think that is very cool. I see a couple of nice comments as well in the chat. Percy says, this blew my mind. Yuri says, repeat and evolve, transform and regress. Yeah. Nice comments. I have we have a little bit time before we officially have to close, so maybe we can use that for a couple of questions. Again, if you have any thoughts, any questions, comments in chat right now, let me know. I'm thinking because you said you have memory, you have a knowledge graph, you have certain tools, data, and all that connected, and then you want to unify that in some kind of manner. Where do you see, while you develop this, where do you see the most benefit of AI models or AI techniques to already maybe incorporate as an employee at this point already, to help you maybe structure your day a little bit better, maybe get some help out of it without having to overhaul the whole systems and build something yourself, if you know what I mean.
So I mean, like operational wise, we are utilizing those systems. For example, like in every meeting, the meetings are transcribed. Then those transcripts feed into an agentic model that distills really down what is the key points, what is the strategic updates, what are the to-dos. It all becomes part of our communication history, and then it routes that to every individual. What is the actual most relevant information for them? Every Friday, you get your summary of that and the strategic updates for the next week. So this way, we make sure that we capture information and wisdom from our conversations. Information is not lost, context is retained, and we can actually align the entire team on what needs to happen next, what are strategic updates. So we really get to stay in alignment. And whenever we need to connect to the right person, we use our knowledge graph, our mappings, and then it's just one question away. Like, we need insights on somebody doing branding or like communication in this specific field. Type it in, you have the right person, connect. Why connect? You refer back to the information.
But If I may, Alex, your question was more, if I understood correctly, what can an individual do already in their organization to start doing some of these things? Was that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Mm,
I mean, I would say that right now you have more than enough tools to build. If you have a creativity and you have the willingness to learn, I'm sure you can stitch some things together. All right. So what I would always recommend someone is look into automation frameworks or automation tools that are even like low code. N8N is a great one. Use ChatGPT. Um, find use. I would even say you can use ChatGPT to get a bunch of information about books that are about building systems, knowledge graphs, or something like that. You create
yeah,
a personal GPT. You ask it something, and you start building with it. And the thing that I think the main thing as well is just to get it to a prototype idea and showcase the value. But what I do see a lot, unfortunately, in sort of big organizations, though, is what I call the POC graveyard. All right. I think it's not only about the information and having access to it and being able to build a system, but making the right business relationships inside of an organization to ensure that you have the right stakeholders aligned to actually bring this into production. Because I think, unfortunately, it's not because we lack the technology or the know-how. It's more of, what are some of the dependencies or legacy issues that may be in the way to actually help implement this in your organization.
yeah,
mm,
yeah. I think that's an interesting and a good point. And you mentioned context now, and I think Max, you mentioned blind spots earlier. It's like that both being issues for many people, for many organizations. Why do you think that is, that we don't we struggle so much with getting this the data that we all have, while we struggle so much with getting that connected, getting breaking out of the silos that you mentioned, breaking out a little bit
mm.
of that, of these blind spot that we kind of like, I think we're almost building these ourselves. Probably
Yep.
not on purpose, but they just happen, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, now I'm in this corner here, and all I'm looking at is piles and piles of data. I have no idea anymore what's in them.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. I mean, I think as human beings, like, well, thinking in data requires a specific type of mindset,
Hmm.
right? And I think ultimately we're also in such a fast-pacing world that I think it's easy at times. I think unknowingly these technologies are making us more isolated, and I think, how do I put it? We are very addictive to quick fixes,
Hmm.
fast dopamine.
Yeah.
So, actually thinking through a complex problem and bringing the right stakeholders to make a big change of how things are done, that has nothing to do with technology. That's
Hmm.
just change management, right? So you need the right support, you need the right leadership, you need the right incentives, and it takes time to build that. So I think that's part of it. Of maybe the IT guy, going back to our story, could be that connector,
Yeah.
right? And oftentimes, unfortunately, the people building the technologies or the solutions may be too disconnected to the real problems. So we need to build human bridges, and we need to have the time and resources to do that. But if in an organization we're constantly, how do I put it, putting away fires without
Hmm.
making the time to actually connect and understand how we can improve things and make it part of the culture, then there might be too much resistance in the system that may lead to that.
No.
mm.
Cool. We have a couple of questions, so I'd like to read those as well. From Jorge comes a question: when you showed your demo, if you are using RAG or graphrag or together with an ontology, if you could maybe explain a little bit what your stack is or how you set this up.
So everything is graphrag, right? The reason why is because we want to make sure that we're actually querying the most relevant and latest information and not hallucinating. But essentially, what we do is we're building multi-agentic systems where you get the intent, the system understands the schema and knows how to query it, and then it's returned. So the thing with RAG on its own is, if you have, say, 100 nodes that may be relevant for your particular search, you may only get returned the top 10 or the top 15 because it doesn't actually look at information structurally. So that's where we believe graphrag is the future, actually.
Johan asks, there's a huge step to move from a tabular data mindset to a graph data mindset. Do you have any suggestions how to enable this leap for I guess people individually, but also maybe if you expand a little bit towards organizations?
I think the thing is, tabular data is easy to work with because we've known how to use it since 1995. I think it all comes down to accessibility. I think there's ways to create graph-based solutions using tabular formats, but it's ultimately a different type of mindset. You need to think relationally. You need to think contextually, and unless you've gone and studied network theory, systems thinking, it's very difficult to articulate these things back into technology. But what at least helps me or gives me hope is, we as human beings, we don't actually think tabularly. We think in associations, right? So I think it's really just like, can we draw it? Can we explain it? Can then we get some sort of ontology to help us connect it? I think it's about making this much more accessible. But it's still fairly new, I would say. So I would say the main thing is, can you do something that you couldn't do with tabular format? Can you get the value, and can you push it one step forward? Sorry, Max, go for it.
No, I was about to say, like, at the same time, thinking in a graph way is actually more intuitive than thinking in a tabular way. Since, like, the way we think is in relationships, like, who do we know? What is the content of our relationship? What do we share in this? And I think it ties back to the question you had, why are like the data streams still so is siloed? Is because they're not connected and we're not thinking about them in a relational way. That, like, from this unit, this output is produced, this relates to this other business unit, and these should like talk to each other and should be part of the same context. And now with AI, we can enable that context like through process logs, for example. We can see where this information came from. That can be taken into account. And then it's change management, as you said, Paolo. It's about really deeply listening, like, where do you actually need this information and why, and what kind of cross dependencies among the organization does it have? And if we just continue pushing for deadlines, like 60-hour weeks to like just really push on the edge, people don't have the time to like rethink and like be in relation with each other, talk to each other, connect with each other. Those are like the most important things when you want to deliver a successful project. You need to deeply listen and understand. Like Einstein, I think it was also Einstein said, if he has to cut a tree, he would spend 90 to 95% like sharpening the axe and only 5% chopping down. So it's really about understanding, where does these data information come from? How do they need to be transformed? And what would we like to do with them? And how are they in relation dependency with each other?
Yeah, and I mean, from my point of view as employee from Neo4j, I mean, this is often a challenge for people, as you know, you bring in a new database and everybody says, oh, why do we need a new database? We already have these other systems and all that. So you get some pushback. What you just outlined, I think, is perfect example. You get a bit more explainability, you get more relations, you break up your silos, you see quick success because of this, because you can make analysis that hasn't been possible before, that took too much time before, that was just very, very hard to do, and all of a sudden it becomes easy. It it becomes, resultable in a time frame that you can work with, and not just, say, okay, I'm hitting this query off, and I know it's Friday. I know I can look back at it next week because it'll take so long. It is something that you can make it actionable, and drives that to a new way of thinking. But agreeable, yes, it is coming with some kind of challenge. It is coming with some kind of adoption hurdle. But I mean, I think we try to make it as easy as possible from our end. Lots of people are using it, and once I think people are realizing how much easier it is getting, how much quicker, and how much more, results you can receive from this step, the more adoption comes along. And nobody is really asking to throw out all your existing tabular data and just put in a graph database in it. But it is a nice coexistence, and we can say, okay, but you can use the data you already have, but you can use it much more powerfully with an addition of the graph.
Yeah. But I think fundamentally here, Alex, sorry.
Go for it. I was just like braining on the analysis part. So okay.
No, I think fundamentally, Alex, here, the main difference is that it requires to look and understand data at its core and what is the function. Because now you're looking at it from a helicopter view, right? A tabular thing helps you really understand one particular subset. This is my domain. This is what I can do. This is what I can view. And it's important to have that, right? It's important to be able to trace it and track it back. But when you zoom out and you try to understand the whole, then that's where you really start to get into troubles. And I think that's the issue, is we didn't have such complex information networks before, right? So I think we also need to give ourselves a little bit of grace that computers and technology and data is really now starting to become at the forefront. Right. And now we even have AI, which is like what it's just been an evolution, but our brains are not naturally wired for this. I mean, imagine, someone 100 years ago, you bring it down and it's like, look, this is AI, this is a knowledge graph, this is a phone. They'll be like, what the hell is this? Like, and then you have the people that have taken the time to study it, that maybe are more inclined to think in that way, and they understand it more intuitively. But we need to give ourselves time to also learn how to relate and use this technology.
Yeah. Like tying on that, like it's beautiful because you actually like made a perfect transition, or like touched upon that. Once we like zoom out and actually like see all those data points and relations being connected, and that's also why I love Neo4j so much, is you visually understand where like clusters of information are forming. And you can get the insights into these clusters. It's your organization is evolving as a living system, like, and it really is. Like, an organization is made up of people going for a common goal. But finally, now you can get to a whole new level of analysis and understanding, and it's a much more intuitive way because it's alive. Like Excel sheets, yeah, they also change. They're also kind of alive, but we don't have a relation to it. Like we see how plants and ecosystems grow and like how they evolve. And an organization is nothing else than an ecosystem of smart minds working to solve problems. So yeah, it's an interesting new future that is available to us now.
Definitely. One more question from Joshua. The demo that you showed, is that something that is available already for people to explore? To maybe is there a demo application? Is there some way of trying it yourself, or what's the status of it at the moment?
So we do have, maybe you can put this link in the chat, Alex. We have our LinkedIn navigator that people can go in. You could upload your LinkedIn data, create an account, and you can chat with an AI to visualize some of your network and search it. So that's the visual one that we saw. So you have that available. But that's we're now in the process of kind of, how to put in all these things together into our first application.
Super. I'll put it on a screen here as well, because I'm not able to share links in LinkedIn for some reason. That doesn't allow me to do that. So here it is, Joshua, for you or for anybody else. I've put everything in the YouTube video description. So if you check it out there, you'll see this link. You see the link to the book. You see the link to both Paolo and Maximilian's LinkedIn accounts. So you should be able to check that out there. Yeah, and I think some echoes or more echoes here. I'm just looking in chat to see if I missed anything in terms of questions or comments. Yuri says he likes the statement, "Too much data, too little meaning." I think that is good. Was a good sentence. Some praise for the great session. Thank you very much, Abhijit. Rich says one of the advantages of graph databases is that they allow you to relate at the record level rather than the column level. I think that is a little bit going into the direction you just said. This is more, outside view or helicopter view or top view.
Yes.
And I think that's covered it. I saves me for the final bits here for the time before we close it out today. Thank you very much to both of you for joining today, for presenting, for the nice conversation and discussion about the whole topic, and for the quick little demo. I'm hoping we can see more of this. I'm hoping this becomes this AI companion that we all like to have, and that pops up every time. Say, oh yeah, who do I need to talk to? What was the last conversation we had, and where is all the information stored that I need for the next little bit? So that's coming hopefully our way soon. What also is coming our way soon is nodes. Well, it's November, so it feels like a long time still to get there, but it's coming sooner than we think, I guess. 6th of November is when it happens. So a full day of online conversations, learnings, workshops, and four nice tracks of all things graph. Obviously, lots of AI stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So that's happening on 6th of November. We will be starting with Road to Nodes, our workshop series, as usual in September. So stay tuned for that to learn more. And if you want to be up to date, you can already register through the link here on the page. And if you want to know more generally, Graph Academy is the place to learn. You can learn how to build a graphrag, a knowledge graph system. You can learn how Neo4j in general works, or how to build an app with Neo4j on top of it. So I think there's everything there from a wide perspective of topics. If you want to try Neo4j, but you don't want to install anything, you don't want to set up everything, you want to just get going, then Neo4j Aura Free is a great place for you to check that out. And if you have any other topics, any other themes, any questions, anything you're interested in, check out our developer hub on neo4j.com/developer, where everything is there for you, with lots of guides, tutorials specifically about AI, but on all major programming languages. So I think that's all there. And with that, thank you very much for watching. I should probably said this at the beginning, but give us a like, give us a subscribe if you like this video, if you want to know more and see more in the future. Thank you again, Max and Paolo, for joining today. It was a pleasure. It was really fun. Nice conversation. And take care, everybody, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.